reacting to the reaction video, reacting to the Plandemic documentary. On this episode of the Anthony on Air Podcast Plus, we remember the great Jerry Stiller, and The Office actually had one epic reunion on Some Good News with John Krasinski. Welcome into the Anthony on Air Podcast. Jay Sabs is here with us. How are you doing, Jay Sabs?
Great.
Keep those fingers clean. If you're wondering about that, go to the podcast episode that has the worst New York City subway story I ever heard, or it's called something like that. I don't know. And Frankie C is here with something clearly growing on his wall. Hi, Frankie C. How are you, man?
Hey, good. How's it going out there? That subway thing, that was a few podcasts ago. That feels like ancient history.
Yeah, time is in a weird vortex at this point, right? Like
it is.
Nothing feels right. February feels like 10 years ago. You know, it's
I
weird.
clearly think it's Easter.
Right. Do you want to address what that is, or should we talk about it at the end of the show? Let's talk about it at the end of the show. We'll leave it to the end.
I think enough said. I think it speaks for itself.
Enough said.
It's Corona growing on your wall.
That's what it is. It's what does it look like? That's what it is.
Don't lick it.
Whatever
or smell
whatever
it.
you want it to be.
I wouldn't touch that. In fact, if I walked into your house and saw that, I'd take a baseball bat to it first and then ask questions later.
That's what you want it to be.
Is that it? Were you saying that's like a horse shack? Like we see what we want to see?
No, it's not Horseshack from Welcome Back, Kotter. It's a Warshack test. You moron. At least I think that's how it's pronounced. Is it Warshack? Rorschach.
Rorschach. What did I say? Horseshack?
Not Horseshack.
I think I got that from The Sopranos. I was just watching that episode of The Sopranos.
Oh, God.
The best part about The Sopranos was how they misidentified everything. You ever notice that? Melfi would say something to Tony, and then he would go and repeat it to his mobster friends, and it was it was always wrong. It was always just off.
What?
Anyway, I thought it was a strawberry when I first looked at it, but you're saying it's a carrot. No, he's not saying anything because he's frozen because of the internet.
Or because of coronavirus.
Or because he caught it. Yeah, he caught the Rona. What's weird, though, is Ben Stiller announced the passing of his father, Jerry Stiller, Janine, and then had to write in the first line that he died because of natural causes.
I did see that.
Look at the stupid smirk on Frank's face.
Frank, why are you so happy about him dying?
He looks like he's smiling right now. That's a weatherman promo photo right there.
Yeah. It's going to be high 65 today. Sunny skies. No chance for showers.
That's Brian Fantana's photo right there. That's his press photo.
Oh.
That is so funny. I don't know if we're going to get Frank back.
Let's see.
Yeah. I think he's a
dumbass smirk.
I know. That's just an awful smirk.
Oh, he's saying, let me back in.
Yeah, there's nothing I can really do. Anyway, I thought that was like a sad moment that speaks to the times of like Ben Stiller having to write like my dad died of natural causes, because everybody would instantly assume that it was coronavirus.
Right. How old was he? 90 something?
92.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I always liked him.
Yes. Wasn't he just fantastic in everything that he was ever in?
Everything. Even on Seinfeld.
Even on you hated Seinfeld? I can't remember now.
I don't like no.
Yeah, he was phenomenal on Seinfeld. He was good on King of Queens too, but I feel like they wrote him so well on Seinfeld. Like that
Oh,
character
definitely.
that he played was so outlandish all the time and
Right.
just amazing.
Always screaming.
Always screaming, "You want a piece of me?" and "Ass man" and "Man's ear."
Oh, wow.
All
There's a
that
lot.
stuff. There's so many great lines. I mean, listen, Festivus this year is going to be hard to get through.
It's true. Well, who do you think's better? Him or his son?
That's a really good question. That's a really good question. I would have to say, I would really have to say that I got to give it to Ben because Ben is more of a leading man. Like Jerry Stiller,
Yeah, it's true.
he wasn't really, in the early days, when he had, like when he first started popping up and everything, like, yeah, he was a bigger deal. But I mean, Ben went on to like write and star in massive motion pictures, and Jerry never did any of that.
That's true.
But I mean, if you're asking like who would give you like the greater belly laugh, like Ben Stiller, like I like his work, but I don't know. His dad was kind of funnier, like in a one-on-one sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I laugh at Ben Stiller movies, and I think he's funny in the movies and stuff. But
Yes, but he also kind of he kind of grosses me out too.
Jerry Stiller or Ben Stiller?
Ben Stiller
Why?
in that movie with the in his hair.
Oh, Something About Mary?
Yeah, like that movie. That was the first movie me and Gaetano saw in the movie theater.
Like on a date? Your husband?
On a date,
First
yes.
date. Yeah. That was
And
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, that was really gross.
Says Janine Jizz Fingers. Is that what you're...
And you know what? Man, he's just gross in that movie. I don't know why.
In Something About Mary? Like
Yeah.
his appearance, you mean?
His appearance, yes. But then I loved him in Along Came Polly.
Along Came Polly is one of the greatest movies ever. That movie is so hysterically funny. But the friend is funny in that one, though.
Oh, yeah.
That guy.
When he tries to be this big actor persona.
Yeah.
When he's really shit.
And he's got the fake documentary crew following him around.
No, wait. Is he dead, that guy?
Yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That's right. When did he die?
He is very dead. He died a couple of years ago. It was super tragic.
Oh.
Hang on. Look
Overdose,
at this.
right?
Back from the dead. There you go. You were...
Hey.
And he's eating a snack.
Don't go... Yeah, what the hell? You were gone for like
waiting.
2 minutes. You couldn't wait to...
I was gone for 7 minutes.
Was it really 7 minutes?
I know what you got done in that time. And you ate a piece of that carrot behind you.
Yes, I washed my finger. And I ate some carrot.
You got stuck on the worst possible frame that you could. Your photo. You just...
Oh, good.
I didn't think it was bad, though. It wasn't like this.
What did I look like?
It was... You look like... It looked like the promo photo for a weatherman in 1976. Like, that's the smile you were...
That's not bad. I'll take it. I always wanted to be a weatherman in 1976.
Did you?
No. So what did I miss? Anything good?
We were talking
Probably
about...
not.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. God, he died 6 years ago already. He died in
really?
February of 2014. Right?
That was a bad year. A lot of people went that year, I feel like.
Was that like coming off of what's his name? Joker? Did he die right around that time?
That sounds right. Heath Ledger?
Heath Ledger?
That might be.
No, Heath Ledger died, I want to say, 10 years ago.
Right now.
9 to 10 years ago.
That can't be right.
That, really?
Mm-hmm.
Heath Ledger died in 2008, 12 years ago.
Wow. Okay. Never mind.
Jesus. I'm like, yeah, that was right around the same time of Heath Ledger. It's like only 6
Sure.
years apart.
No, we were talking about the movie Along Came Polly.
It's a great movie. The beginning,
It is.
when he slips on the dance floor, is like the funniest scene in the last 10, 15 years.
I thought you were talking about when he catches his wife doing the guy with the flippers on.
That's funny
Good
too.
scene. Not
That's
the
a funny
funniest scene.
That's my favorite scene from the movie, but okay.
The most
Two great scenes.
The
Go ahead.
cringy part about that is when he's on the bike with him afterwards. When
Oh,
Yeah, that's,
all right, we were
that
talking.
was just on the
Azaria.
other day.
We were talking.
Hank
Frank
Azaria got ripped for that.
Hank Azaria.
Yeah, he
Oh
did.
yeah, he did. I know. Yeah, he really did. Which is crazy. Hank Azaria. See, now we're getting into 40 different things, but I love talking about this stuff. Frank, we were talking about. Janine asked me who's funnier, Ben Stiller or Jerry Stiller, and I said that Jerry Stiller is hilarious in his own right, but I would have to say Ben is funnier. But when you look at all these films, though, they don't happen without Ben Stiller. But Ben is never really has the big laugh. Like in Along Came Polly, all his big laughs.
He's usually the straight man.
He's usually the straight man in these movies. Yeah.
And the jokes are like about him.
Towards
him.
Right. Which is hilarious. But whereas Jerry Stiller's jokes, you were laughing because he was doing something hysterical.
Right. And I feel like we're not familiar. Our generation is not really familiar with the majority of his work.
Yeah, the
Right.
pre-Seinfeld stuff. A lot of us. Yeah, we were.
Him and his wife, they had a whole show that nobody, you can't get it now. I don't know where you could find it, but he did a whole thing with his wife. It was like a skit show, I believe. Sketch, comedy show.
But Hank Azaria, like, I think about two roles where he was just so good. Along Came Polly is one, and then the other one is The Birdcage.
Yep, he was great in that.
Like he is
The Simpsons. He's a million voices on The Simpsons.
He's a million voices in The Simpsons, but as far as like an actor goes, like that you could, not in animation, like, which is weird too because I feel like he never really gets like a leading role ever.
Hank?
Hank.
Wasn't he in what are those little blue things?
Smurfs?
What are they called? There you go.
Yeah, he was Gargamel.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a funny story. He was actually promoting Smurfs in Manhattan. He was dressed as Gargamel, and he was like going up to people, and nobody recognized him as a character.
That's right.
So people were kind of avoiding him, thought he was just like a crazy person.
Well, I'll tell you something with
They
that
couldn't
too.
pull it off. Go ahead.
When he was filming that movie, where I used to work, it was like 2 blocks away. So I happened to like just go and see if I could see him, and I did see him. And someone thought I was an extra in the movie. So they were like, "Cut, cross the street again." And I was like, "Okay."
Did you end up in the movie?
I never saw myself, but then again, I
Did you
think I only
look?
saw it once. Yeah.
Oh, you gotta
once.
look for yourself.
But I was like trying to take pictures with my little small phone as I'm passing him. I did
Yeah,
get them.
they
though.
probably cut you out then. I don't think they
Right.
used that shot.
My grandfather was in a movie like that. I forget which one it was. It's with Ferris Bueller's Day Off. What's his name? Matthew Broderick.
Okay.
The one where he's in the movie with, I think, Marlon Brando. Does he do a movie with Marlon Brando?
Oh,
It's funny. That you
not
said
The Graduate.
I was
Freshman?
about to, the Freshman. That's out because I was about to say The Graduate.
really?
I'm like, he wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look in The Freshman, there's a scene where they're going into like the club or whatever, and you just see my grandfather walking with 2 grocery bags in the background.
That's hilarious.
He didn't even.
I was an extra.
He
Go ahead.
didn't even know he was in it. My grandfather was the type that never said 2 words to anybody, like just never spoke unless he absolutely had to. Like pass the sausage and pass the meatballs was basically that was his whole vocabulary.
What else do you need?
So like I just remember like one of his friends like called up one day, goes, "Do you know you're in a movie?" He goes, "No." He goes, you're clear as day, like just walking behind Marlon Brando in this scene. And he's like, "You didn't notice like cameras or Marlon Brando?" He was like, "No."
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So anyway, Janine, you were an extra in a movie?
I wasn't actually a real extra. And Along the Distance with Dustin Long and Drew Barrymore.
Going the Distance?
Going the Distance. Very good, Frank. And,
I don't even know the movie. It sounded better than Along the Distance.
I don't think it was good that he knew that. I think that's embarrassing. Talk about
You're
me
right.
in Notting Hill.
Drew Barrymore is great. Justin Long is good.
Go ahead.
It took all day to film this like 2-minute scene.
Yeah.
And it was in a club, and all you had to do was keep dancing. That's it.
To no music, right? Or did they play music for you?
First they played no music, and then they put the music in. Like, we heard it later.
Right.
It was weird.
Yeah, they can't do that because they sync up all the shots with whatever song they decide to play.
Right.
Which is such a weird thing, because then, like, are you dancing to the same beat as everybody else?
Right.
Like, that's an odd...
That always happens. Whenever you watch any movie, look at people dancing around. They're never on the beat.
No. I was like, well, what kind of beat is it going to be? Slow. Oh, fast.
Man. How did you not stick out? How did they not give you the leading role after they saw you?
After they were like, Drew Barrymore, get the fuck out of here. Come on.
Yeah, stop upstaging Drew Barrymore and Justin Long.
So were they in the scenes? Drew Barrymore and Justin Long in the scenes?
Yes, they were.
They were.
Cool.
And they had just like started dating secretly, and someone contacted the Daily News, and 2 days later said that they were like seeing each other again because they were like kissing between scenes. And my friend swore it was me that I contacted the Daily News. But I swear I did.
I never knew that they dated, those two.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Probably for a minute.
I did a background thing once. It was not a big deal at all, though. Did you ever do that, Frank? I'm surprised you never did.
No, I was production assistant on a few things, but I don't think I made it on camera at all.
Oh,
Which
a couple
movie?
of movies. Yeah. I did.
It was commercials.
I remember this. Was this before? This was right out of college, right?
Yeah, out of college, I was an intern, and then I became production assistant for that company. And we did some commercials for ESPN and a couple other places, but ESPN was the big one.
And Fan?
Pretty cool.
That was that first time when you were like out of college, and it's like 6 months in, and you're like, "Oh, I'm not gonna skyrocket to anything here."
Oh, many a panic attack occurred that year. What am I gonna do with my life?
Yeah, it's just
I'm not in school anymore. Now I have to work.
That was that exact time period where you're like,
half of the year.
where you're like, wait a second, they've been building me up my entire life to graduate college, and now I'm a college graduate. I'm getting coffee
they go, here you go.
Yeah.
Just go out into the world now and do what you got to do. And you go, what?
Ages 0 through 18 are like, just go to college and you're going to be great. Everything will be fine. Day after college, you're like, what the hell?
What am I going to do now? What is this?
I did.
It's scary.
It is scary. It's funny that you said that thing, because I remember, and I feel like I told this story not that long ago on the podcast, but I wasn't a production assistant, but we saw a movie filming once, and it was the Royal Tenenbaums, and Ben Stiller could not have been nicer to us.
That's right. He was nice to you.
He was so sweet, and the Fonz was there too, and Henry Winkler. He was nice to us. That's what we were talking about. It was only a couple episodes ago we mentioned that, but Ben Stiller was like a sweetheart of a guy.
Weren't you also in the crowd for anger management?
That was
Yankee Stadium.
That was a story I was going to tell. So I did the same thing you did, Janine. Was anger management at Yankee Stadium. I don't even remember how I found out about it. I want to say it was through Avery and Nicole, because they did it with me, two people that we knew at the time, and it was Adam Sandler. All we knew was Adam Sandler's filming a movie at Yankee Stadium, and they need people to sit in the crowd. And I was like, I think we were in college at the time. It came out in 2003, so I might have been just
Yeah,
after
then that's
college.
college.
Oh, yes, it was. You're right. That is college. So we were in college, nothing else to do but a driver's license. So we drive up to Yankee Stadium, and we sat there, and they did. It's so funny because you're like, I wonder if anybody like it was so. This was like the early days of the internet too, like 2003. You're talking about what, like 8 years into the internet. So when something got posted online, you're like, do a lot of people even know about this? Like, or is,
Right.
who's going to be there? Thousands of people were there.
Of course, right?
Yeah. And they shuffled us around Yankee Stadium to sit in certain sections. Cause then they just cut out your whole section and they just duplicate the crowd
Right.
in the whole thing. So we got to see some of that. I just remember like a couple of things that always stuck with me. The warm up guy was hysterical. Like, when you do a TV show or you ever go see a TV show taping, there's always a warm up guy who comes out and does like a shtick and gives away prizes. They had one of those guys there, and he was just going on and on about how he's like the biggest warm up guy in the game. He's like the Adam Sandler of warm up guys. It's like everybody calls him to do warm ups. And I was like, I can't
remember his name.
I don't remember his name, but I was just like, I can't believe this guy makes a living just talking on a
How
mic.
fun is that, right?
Yeah, I was like, I want to.
Now that's a cool job.
I was like, I want to do that guy's job.
You gotta be funny though. You gotta know what you're doing. No, I don't mean that.
Fuck you,
None of us
Yeah,
are funny.
fuck you, dude.
I mean, you have to be like a stand-up comic and entertain a crowd of thousands.
You have to know how to do that, right?
Big deal.
And you have to be funny live by yourself.
Easily done.
Right.
Like you do it all the time.
Easy.
That's easy.
Done. Why don't I do this now?
It's even easier in front of a crowd too. That's when it's even easier because people are like dying to laugh. Anyway,
That's true.
I remember that.
Pissed off.
I remember Sandler on the field playing catch. Like he was like, I just remember thinking like he's a down to earth guy because he was just playing catch with like people on the set. I think Rudy Giuliani was in the movie, but I didn't see him there. It was 2 nights. I only went one night. Like one night was good enough for me. Same thing. I was there for like 8 hours, and it was a nighttime game in the movie. So we got there and it was late, and they like filmed till like 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh wow!
And
okay.
I just remember
you didn't even get to see an actual game.
No, there was no game. It was all just scenes. Like, there's one scene where he runs through the crowd to find her at the game. So we got to see that part, and I was really close for that one, but I'm not in it at all. Like, it would even matter. It would be a split second.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple of other scenes that were close to the stands that they needed it for. And I know they did a second night, but I didn't go back for it. And I think that was like the Giuliani night, and like that was like the night where like all like there were like actual like guest stars there, like other people there. There was nobody there. I don't even think that Jack Nicholson was there. I think it was just Sandler.
Yeah, I don't think he was in that scene in the movie.
Yeah, because he had because he's at Yankee Stadium, but I don't think you even really see him. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
But then there was like stuff on the Jumbotron, and we were like, oh, how crazy interesting is all that? And then I just remember like we broke for lunch, and I just kept thinking to myself like, oh, like I wonder what like a Hollywood lunch is like, because we're on set and everything.
Wasn't anything. I know.
It was the
bag of chips,
most disgusting turkey wrap you could ever imagine from a gas station, and like a bag of chips. Like that was it.
Hey, they got to feed a couple thousand people. That's what you get.
Of course, yeah,
right.
Of course. But like the first time you ever go to something like that, you're like, oh wow, this must be amazing. And then I just remember them just like begging people not to leave because it was like 2:30 in the morning, and when people were exhausted and they're just doing the same crap over and over again, and like Sandler's dicking around the whole time, so you kind of feel like, who cares, But people are like setting up lighting and doing all the things that they need to do or whatever they're doing. It was. I was glad to do it. I was like, I'd never do this ever again. It was just bizarre. And then
sounds like fun.
I had to do.
It is fun.
It's fun to do. Like it is fun to do. It is
Once
fun.
in a
It makes you think. Like
thing.
if you're in the crowd and there's thousands of people that are extras, you could be just a guy in the background that just like I don't know, just whips it out or something.
Yeah.
How are they going to catch that?
We're just learning so much about your sexual proclivities throughout
Really,
this whole
Frank?
podcast.
I'm just saying, if you're in a crowd of a million extras, how are they going to? They can't look at every single one and see what you're doing.
I think there is.
So if you give the camera the finger, maybe they don't catch it. It makes it into the movie.
Did you learn that from your dad?
Did I learn that from Dad? Is that what you said?
Your dad.
Why would I learn that from my dad?
Because he's done background
Because
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, but why would I learn how to give the camera the finger?
The key to success is just whipping it out.
Frank's dad was all
He did
over.
say that. He did coin that phrase.
Frank's dad was all over The Irishman, so much so that I had to stop it and text you when I saw it. Because I didn't know
Still have not seen that movie.
I didn't know he was going to be in it.
Shut up.
And you
then
just
you really
spotted him.
recognized him?
He clear as day. Like clear as I'm like, your dad's in The Irishman. And then like 20 minutes later I see him again and I had to text him again. I'm like, he's all over this movie.
Oh, I have to watch this movie then.
It's funny because he's in two separate crowd scenes. One crowd it's supposed to be in New York. It's at like a rally for Jimmy Hoffa. And the other rally is supposed to be in Florida. And obviously they're both in the same place. They was filmed. It's the same crowd, just wearing different clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find
Oh, you have a screen
a
cap?
picture of. Yeah.
John Krasinski on Some Good News. While Frank's looking for that, you found it?
Yeah. Well, here he is, circled right there at the crowd. It. He actually made it. He was in the clip at the Oscars, so he was when they showed
Really?
the.
That's not even the best shot of him. There's another shot where the camera.
No, there is.
He's just in front, like they're panning the crowd of these guys who are listening to Jimmy Hoffa speak, and he is center frame, like just on his face.
Oh, here he is. Right.
Yeah, that's the second one.
Right.
Oh, come on. Oh, my God. That's such a good shot.
The first one, though, is even better. The first one is still the best one that you haven't shown yet.
I don't think I have that one.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah.
It's the one with his wiener out.
Right.
John Krasinski reunited the cast of The Office for Some Good News. This is really endearing story. This couple gets engaged the same way that Jim and Pam do at a gas station. And they send the story into John Krasinski. So he takes this and he has them on his show. And he's like, this is really sweet. He goes, and you guys invited me to the wedding. I unfortunately can't be there unless we decide to do it right now. And then he holds up a ordained minister certificate that he got on the web 5 minutes ahead of time. And he's like, do you guys want to get married? And, just Google this. You can see it if you want to see the video for yourself. I'm not going to link it up, but it's so sweet. He arranged to have the couple's parents there. So he had them included on the Zoom. So you see like them pop up in the boxes. And then he has Jenna Fisher come on so she can be the bridesmaid for the, because this couple just
that's really cool.
Emulates them. And then so they actually go through the ceremony. They marry them. And then John Krasinski goes, there's no ceremony. You can't have a wedding without having the after party, and starts playing the song that is like the montage of the Pam and Jim wedding, and slowly all the Office characters pop up on screen, and they're all doing that choreographed dance that they did down the aisle.
That is
I love
awesome.
that.
It was incredibly sweet and very funny. Oscar is still one of the greatest dancers ever. The face that he makes when he's doing his dance is priceless. Dwight Rainn Wilson kicks his wife in the face just the same way he kicks the bridesmaid. Really funny. Meredith is drinking, but maybe the funniest clip of all is they're on Brian, who's Kevin, from The Office, Brian Baumgartner, I think is his name. They're on him and he's doing his like dance, whatever. And then whoever's filming him pans down and he's wearing tissue boxes on his feet. Just the same exact way.
That's amazing.
That he was in the episode. It was just so, for an Office fan, for a diehard Office fan, it's a can't miss. Like, you got to see this little.
Oh, I have to watch
That is
it
huge.
They even got Steve Carell.
Imagine the artist takes down puts a copyright thing on the song.
I thought of that too because he's playing the song loud as that. I'm like, they're gonna pull this down.
Yep, gotta take it down.
Do you know obviously the ongoing issue in the world right now that if you say that like on this podcast, like if you say that, YouTube will demonetize the video. I had to go back and put an
If you
appeal
say
in.
what?
If you say the name of what's happening in the world right now, if you say that
Get
name,
out of here.
yeah, swear to God, they're which has become a real point of contention in the free speech world because it's like you should be able to say whatever you want to say. Janine's mouthing
Well,
it.
that's not like a
That
copyright
word?
thing. That's
That
just
word.
a word. It's the name of the thing.
There's so much disinformation happening right now. There's so many people going online and making videos that are saying the wrong thing to do. And YouTube.
You mean like starts with C, ends with Arona?
Right.
Yes.
Now,
Really?
Yes.
There's so much misinformation about literally everything.
Yes.
I mean, you can't police it all.
Literally.
A lot of people say that YouTube shouldn't have to police anything, that it should be a part of free speech, that you can go online and say anything, which is a valid point.
Agreed.
It's a valid point. But then, then you have people that are saying things and other people are going, oh, okay, I saw it online. And they go and do it.
But
and then YouTube
people should
is
realize that they're valid. They're where they should go for the correct news should not be some guy on YouTube that nobody ever heard. It should be,
are you sure, Frank?
officials.
But just look at where.
Don't get your news from me.
But just look at where YouTube is right now. You have, whatever sense of authority there is, right? With, God, scared to say that, but cable news, which is so awful. And you can have some just schmo on YouTube look just as good, and both of those videos are sitting right next to each other, and you can't really tell who's who.
Yeah, but you got to be able to say, all right, this is just some person. There's a handful of news sources that everybody should be familiar with, and the rest are take it with a grain of salt.
I know.
Well, all of it should be taken with a grain of salt.
I don't know if you heard this, but there's a great distrust in news sources these days, and people feel that crowd.
So people don't trust news sources, but they'll trust Joe Schmo on YouTube?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Frank.
Okay.
Basically, I mean, when you look at that pandemic video that we did the reaction to, like, it was super, super well produced. And the first thing that I said to Janine was the reason why I didn't watch it was because it was so overly produced, which a lot of people took issue with, which you could tell by just looking at the comment section.
Oh, no.
They're like, one guy didn't even watch it. What the hell? Like, he didn't even see it. He's commenting on it. This guy sucks.
Yeah, why judge when you didn't watch it all?
Nobody.
Just.
Nobody.
There's so much negativity online. It's unbelievable.
There's plenty to go around for sure.
Frank, this is the world.
I can't wait to see what they're going to say about your strawberry in the back there.
Yeah, my orange strawberry.
Or the Arona C.
So YouTube, because they lost a lot of advertisers over a lot of different issues. So now they're hypersensitive on these things, and they're policing a lot of this stuff, and they're taking it down, or they're just demonetizing it, which is essentially the same thing.
Yeah, no,
there's got to be a different way to do it. I mean, if you're going to have advertisers for these videos, there's got to be a way to show, like, there's a certain type of video.
Well,
that you
because
do.
that's
like,
the other thing too.
If it's supposed to be a news video, there shouldn't be I don't know. There should only be certain types of advertisers. I have no idea. But I'm not going to be the one that solves it.
But the other thing too is forget the people that are just dumb enough to listen to other idiots. You also have an advertiser, and they give YouTube $40 million, and then they say, I don't want my ad to run up against some idiot just talking about stuff he doesn't know about.
Right.
And
I feel like, isn't that the whole idea of YouTube? Idiots talking about stuff they have no idea what they're talking about?
10 years ago, but not anymore.
I feel like that's what it is now.
10
Even if it's
10 years ago, you didn't see an ad for any reputable, 15 years ago, I should say, 20. You didn't see, Tide or McDonald's or anything on digital advertising, but now you do. You see it all over the place. And there's an ungodly amount of material uploaded to YouTube every minute. There's no single way you can police that with a human being.
Yeah, no.
There should be an understanding, or maybe a disclaimer. this advertisement does not reflect the views of the video, whatever it is. People need to understand that the ad has nothing to do with the video. The video has nothing to do with the ad. They're just matched together because ads have to go with the videos.
I agree, but unfortunately a bunch of people complained and advertisers scare easily, and so that's we are where we are today. So that's that, my friend.
I hear you. People are too sensitive or not sensitive enough. I don't know. Again, I'm not going to be able to solve any of this.
What are
you looking at me for?
Oh, okay. So I have a final thought. Streaming over the weekend. Let's start with you, Janine. What'd you stream over the weekend?
Not happy with our choice.
Where'd you go with?
We watched.
I missed it again. What'd you say?
I said I'm not happy with our choice. It was Extraction.
What service?
Netflix.
Okay.
And I think it was the most viewed movie in such a short amount of time.
Is that right?
Which is why we watched it.
Who's in it?
Okay, you know those two brothers?
Oh God.
The guy with the face.
Hemsworth?
Two brothers, actors.
Extraction. Chris Hemsworth. Yes.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
And I don't know. I
Not
just
good?
felt like it wasn't believable.
Is it a typical
supposed to be
action
believable?
movie?
It was. And usually I don't mind them. I like them. Like the one with Mark Wahlberg I really liked. But this
To be more
one,
specific.
it was just like a Netflix movie that he made.
A black market mercenary who has nothing to lose is hired to rescue kidnapped son of an imprisoned international crime lord. But the murky underworld of weapons dealers and drug traffickers, an already deadly mission approaches the impossible.
What's so hard to believe about that, Janine? Come on.
Did you choose this or did your husband choose it?
No, it kept coming up in our queue, and I was like, all right, let's watch it. And he was like, okay. And I'm like, that was 2 hours wasted.
Oh, God, it was 2 hours?
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't even like an hour and a half. It was 2 hours.
And which Hemsworth was it?
Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
Chris.
Who can tell the difference?
Who's the other one?
I'll be honest with you.
Liam.
I didn't even know there were two until like 4 days ago.
One was married to like Miley Cyrus for a while.
Yes. I believe that's the one
Not
that was
that one.
married.
It was Thor. Thor was in this one?
No, Thor's brother.
Or the other one? Liam
Yes.
Hemsworth?
Yes.
Oh, you didn't even get the good Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Oh, no good.
Is Chris Hemsworth?
Maybe that's why.
Is he the laughing? Liam is Thor, right?
Yes.
Oh, Liam is.
Or is Chris Thor?
I mix them up.
It doesn't matter. Who cares?
Chris Hemsworth.
I think
I'm looking
Liam
him
is
up.
Thor.
I streamed a movie
you
over the
watch?
weekend.
What?
The Princess Bride.
Chris is Thor, by the way. Oh, you did.
Saw The Princess Bride finally.
What'd you think?
Come on.
Meh.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Me too.
Yeah, I hate you too.
I have a couple of
Comments?
thoughts. I have a couple of thoughts on this.
Oh, let's hear.
I really feel like we need to put a name to this where there is a really good movie, but it gets built up so much by your friends that when you finally see it, you're like, you can't possibly like it. Like it almost becomes impossible. It's like unless like it's almost like there's a window to a film, and unless you see that film in that window, once it closes, it's no longer good. Like the Blair Witch Project. I remember seeing the Blair Witch Project being like before we knew and being like, damn, like what the hell? And now you go back and look at that and it's such trash and garbage and so stupid.
You're right.
Yeah, that's an extreme example. But I feel like there's just something like where some movies age so well and are so that are almost even better 20 years later for whatever reason. And then there's other movies that will, like a piece of fruit, will just spoil and are no longer great, because Then, all right, so here's the thing with The Princess Bride. I've heard Frank and other friends use lines and recite lines from them for so long.
Antonio.
Yeah, and like think, oh, that's kind of funny, whatever. And then like the line came up in the movie, and I was like, that was it? Like that's what they've been reciting
I know what you mean.
this whole time? When you think about all the great lines in cinema and like...
First of all, Princess Bride is probably one of the most quotable movies out there.
I get it. Like
there's like there's like probably 24 quotes from that movie alone that are like widely known.
Yeah. It was just, it's so like, first of all, Peter Falk is great. Like he is just, Peter Falk is Peter Falk no matter what.
All he was doing was reading the book.
He's so good though. He's like, and he's like, you know, like and flipping the pages and everything. Like he was great.
Do you want me to read this or not? All right. There we go.
I bet Frank knows the entire movie.
I bet you're
or
right.
Close to it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I've seen it, and I can never imagine a scenario in my life where I'm like, I'm gonna turn on The Princess Bride and watch it again.
No,
thank you.
I have to ask you, when you watched it, was there other things going on?
No.
Did you sit down?
Ask
just you in the movie.
Me
watched it.
Me and my wife, we chose to watch it. We have very limited time with streaming.
Wife see it?
Yes.
Before?
Yes.
Yeah, she's seen it.
She had never saw it before. No, she
really?
watched it with me. Yeah, she watched it with me. She was not like I'm trying to think of the moments that we did laugh. There was a couple of like funny moments. I loved Billy Crystal. I thought his scene was good. But again,
I think you have to have.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
I've heard "To Blave" 40,000 times in my life, and I was expecting this great like thing, and it was just a line that was said. It was just like,
yeah, that's what it is. They're lines. What do you want them to do? Say it on top of a mountain with lightning behind? What are you expecting? It's a movie.
But that's my point. Like, was it built up too much? You know, after all these years, after all the quotes, you telling me I gotta watch it. You know what I'm saying?
It's a Rob Reiner film. This isn't the Avengers.
Okay, so that's the other thing. Like I go back.
You gotta go in knowing that too.
I go back and I am maybe the biggest Rob Reiner fan of all time. Like every one of his films, Spinal Tap.
That was a good one.
When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, The American President. Like I am all over this guy as a director. Like everything he's done, I have friggin' loved. And this one was just...
No,
and it was
you have to have the Sabatino humor, I think.
No, you don't. It's a widely accepted movie as one of it was coming out of the 80s was a great movie.
See, and that's when I don't
didn't have all special effects. It didn't. It was just a fantasy, and it wasn't like most hilarious comedy. It was just a cool story with cool characters.
That's the other thing too. I didn't even think the story was that great.
I hate you.
Like it's just really not that great. Like the guy is like a farm boy, and then he disappears, and then you don't really see what happens to him, and then he comes back.
She's forced to marry the king, and then she's going to commit suicide. But now he comes back, but he doesn't recognize. There's so much going on, and there's a giant. There's eels. There's sword fighting.
Okay,
sword.
Here's the fire swamps.
Here's another example. I love the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yes.
I love that movie. Like I will laugh at that movie nonstop, start to finish, every line. Okay. In that movie, the main character, I think his name is Peter, he quotes The Princess Bride. Right? He'd be like, anybody want peanut butter? Or whatever that line is. That was funnier than the original line in the actual
I agree.
movie. And I
hate the both of you right now. Please, in the comments below, please show us your opinion on on The Princess Bride and show these two that they are in the minority of the world.
It just wasn't a good movie. This pacing stinks, and that's
Your
even
pacing stinks.
that's even adjusting for 80s pacing in films. Like, I was taking it all into account. It was just like
it was just
What are you talking
okay.
about?
yeah, it was really
Right?
just okay.
You weren't going, oh my God, that was great after you watch it, right?
There was no like hysterical premises or things you
No,
don't
I
see
agree.
coming or
No, it's
genuinely
not supposed to be
funny
hysterical.
lines.
It's a classic. That's all it is.
I don't know why.
It's a cult classic too.
I never got into that one.
No, you're using cult classic as an excuse for why you think it's funny, but it's not a.
No, it's like Shaun of the Dead is a cult classic. It's love. The people who love it, or the people who like it, love it. The people who don't want nothing to do with it. There's no like in between.
Yeah,
That's the cult
Oh,
classic
Frank.
to me. And I think Princess Bride, you either love it or you're you.
but what do you love about it though?
The whole fantasy, the whole story, the fact that there's that Andre the Giant, all these people are in it. They're all great. It's like Andre the Giant's performance. It's what's his face? I forget
Harry?
his name. Wallace Shawn.
I gotta tell you something.
Inconceivable.
I thought he was the most annoying. Like,
Agree.
Oh, I can't. What am I doing on this podcast with you two people?
even the inconceivable part, like he kept repeating inconceivable. I'm just like, shut.
You just want to smash him in his face every time he says it, right?
Oh, it's so.
Oh, you
bad.
two are.
Fam, you need to write this in the group text.
Dude, I'm sitting there going, this is the guy who gave us Spinal Tap? Like, I don't even.
What is the matter with you two?
Spinal Tap is such genius. Such
That
genius.
is a hysterical movie.
Turn it up to 11.
Yeah,
None
it is.
more black. Like, those are memorable lines that are hysterical.
They're not as memorable as the Princess Bride lines. I'm sorry.
Inconceivable.
Spinal Tap is great, but there are far more memorable and far more in quantity the lines from Princess Bride than there are in Spinal Tap.
But why? Like, To Blave isn't even funny. It's not even funny.
Could you went into it wanting to hate it?
No,
guarantee
I
you.
didn't.
You went into it. Let's watch this piece of shit.
I was like, I was hyping myself up for it. I'm like, get into this,
No.
be open to it. I'm like, you can do it. We watched something else first. I don't even remember what it was that we watched, but I just remember thinking, we have this time now. I promised that I would do it. I'm in a good mood. Like, now's the time. Like, let me go in. I have an open heart. I found out that Rob Reiner did it. I was like, Rob Reiner's doing it. There's got to be something to it. And it's just one part of the story into the next that it's just
Boring.
very boring. It's very dull and boring.
It's not, I don't know, maybe like if we're in the 80s, we would think it's funny.
Yeah.
Now?
But I'm like,
No.
okay, he
It's
leaves
not
as
a
a farm
movie for
boy.
now. It's not a movie that could be made now.
No, but he leaves as a farm boy and comes back as the pirate. And I'm like, I wonder what the story must be. It must be an interesting tale about how, did he get hit on the head? Did he forget who he was? No, it was none of that. He was just gone for 5 years just because the other pirate was like, oh, your name will precede you. And then you could be like, a killer pirate to everybody. And so that's what he, and I'm just like, what? Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
I'm falling
what
asleep
is
right
the
now thinking of it.
point? Like if he loved the girl so much, the second he could get back to her, why didn't he just go back to her? Instead, he sailed the 7 seas for 5 years, just roaming around being the pirate guy.
He had to build up his reputation, and he had to come back when it was right.
That was the other part. He had to leave to go make money or something to be a worthy husband. Like what? What? In the 1500s or what? Like, you have a farm, you have cattle and whatever. That's it. You could make milk and have steaks, farm. And you're done. Whose farm was it though? Wasn't it
farm.
Like her
father's?
father's?
Just a farm boy. It was her farm, and he was just like a farmhand, the guy that was just there, and he was like her servant. That's why he said "as you wish" all the time.
Right. Okay. So she fell in love with the servant boy. So then just be on the farm. Like, why do you need to go out and make your own way in the world? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know.
That makes zero sense. It's like I marry into money, but I'm gonna leave my wife for 10 years so I could go make no, why? Just enjoy the money that you got. You guys have together. Enjoy the farm.
It's part of the story.
Which makes no sense, which is not backed by anything. It's just there's no I don't
I
even get it.
guarantee if you ask that question in the group text, you'll get an answer from Antonio. Watch.
I haven't watched it in a couple of years, so I can't remember why he left. But
he left. They say in the beginning he leaves to make his own way in the world.
Okay. All right. Well,
it's like
did he need to make a movie about it?
And he didn't expect. And then she heard that he was killed, so then the king took her to be the bride.
Wait, and this is what I love. So he makes his own way in the world by being a pirate. Right. He shows back up with a sword and a bandana. Like, where's his money? With Liberty Mutual? Like, does he have it in a policy somewhere? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then he's chasing this is what I love. He's going to come back, and he just so happens to come back the day after she's kidnapped. Like, he couldn't be there like a day or so before this whole plot starts to take place.
And there's giants and fire swamps and giant rats. What do you want? It's a fantasy.
That was more believable than anything else. The rest I had less of a problem being in a...
With the fantasy stuff, right?
Yeah, because that's just fantasy. That makes sense. There's huge holes. There's holes bigger than the rats in the forest in this friggin' plot. Massive holes. They're just so terrible.
You went into it wanting to hate it. You put
didn't.
this off so far. You didn't want to see this movie for years, and it got built up. And then when you finally forced yourself to sit down and watch it, your mind was so closed you didn't want to accept any of this story.
Wow, Frank.
No,
I guarantee that's what happened.
I thought Billy Crystal was really good in it. I like the guy Montoya, how he kept on repeating his thing. Oh. But even in that scene where like he finally gets to take on the guy, like that could have been so much better. Like that was so
80s.
It was just so like, and Andre the Giant, I thought kind of stunk in the movie.
What did you want from him?
I don't know. Like
he's Andre the Giant. Did you know anything about Andre the Giant?
No, but
for years that couldn't, he had an accent.
For years, I heard like how great Andre. For years, I heard how great he was in this movie, and I'm like, he just kind of standing there and doing.
Oh, he wasn't an Oscar performance kind of guy. He was just a giant, and he played.
Okay, and then here's one part. Here's one part that kind of turned me off. So the pirate guy is finally coming back to catch up to the bride, right? To get the girl back. He's scaling up this long ass rope. Okay,
right.
Like flying up the rope, like at a speed like this. They cut the rope, so he's holding onto the rock. He's 4 feet down on rock. He can't climb up the rock for 4 feet. He's shooting up a rope faster than like at the little thing at the bank tellers. It just shoots right up at the drive-through of the bank. He's going that fast climbing a rope, yet he can't climb up a little bit of rock.
First, it was more than 4 feet. Second, it wasn't just a rock. It was the cliffs of insanity. Third, climbing up a rope is way easier than climbing up a mountain.
Oh, Frank.
Am I
You're
wrong?
not going to win this one, fam. You're not.
Read some of the reviews of last time's show here. That's going to make me feel better.
Rank for me the top 5 greatest Rob Reiner films of all time. Is it top 5? Is Princess Bride top 5?
I think Princess Bride is top 5.
You're insane. You're insane. Not. Spinal Tap, the Prince, When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, The American President,
and The Princess Bride.
You got Stand By Me, which you can choose. The Story of Us, which was phenomenal. Bucket List was a good one.
Don't put Bucket List at top 5 or even top 10.
Whoa!
I'm just saying, like
you can't. Not of Rob Reiner movies.
I'll give you. Okay, I will concede that point to you. This movie still doesn't crack his top 5.
Inconceivable.
I would say.
And on that note,
Wolf of Wall Street's in there. Misery.
Well, he didn't direct Wolf of Wall Street.
He didn't direct.
Yeah.
Right. He directed Misery, I thought, right?
Yes, he did.
Misery's up there, I think. When Harry Met Sally, Stand By Me, Princess Bride.
Just admit it. Just say, so we could end this podcast.
Princess Bride is in there.
Princess Bride
I'm
doesn't
sorry,
crack
it's in
the
there.
top 5 of Rob Reiner films of all time.
It definitely does.
Which
Sorry, but
I
it
want to
does.
know. I want to know the film you're leaving out of top 5 for Princess Bride. Out of When Harry Met Sally, Spinal Tap, A Few Good Men, and The American President, name which one of those 4 you're leaving out of the top 5 for Princess Bride.
Wait, Harry Met Sally, The American President, Spinal Tap, and what?
A Few Good Men.
And Princess Bride. That's 5.
Yeah, but you said Misery was great.
Misery.
You put
Okay,
Misery in there.
gotcha.
So name.
I would leave out. I'd put American President as number 6.
I can't. Like, you can't be a part of this.
Good
anymore.
movie. Great movie.
Say goodbye to Frank, everybody.
Princess
This is
Bride.
his last show.
Yeah. Okay. Gladly. See ya. You jerks. The Princess Bride. You can't. You lose this argument with almost anybody that's seen it,
All
except
right.
these two.
No.
Morons.
When did you see it, Janine?
Oh my God, years ago.
And you hated it then?
About how old
I
were you?
don't think it's
20s?
good.
Yeah, the thing is I didn't even really hate it. It's just kind of there, right? Like, it's
Right.
just,
I don't hate it, but I don't love it like our friends do.
It's just
You know?
classic. It's one of those. I guess maybe, yeah, you had to have seen it maybe when you were a kid. Maybe that helped because it's ingrained in your childhood. But yeah, I would still watch it today. It's got some great, lines, characters. The whole thing. You could just sit down and watch it at any point.
it's just not making. You're not saying anything. You're just saying.
What is he saying?
Great characters and lines, like.
Oh God.
I suggest we move on and agree to disagree because we're not gonna get on the same page with this.
All right. Well, final thoughts. I'll leave it up to you.
See The Princess Bride. It's a classic. It's one of Rob Reiner's best. These two are nuts. And if you don't believe me, believe all the people in the comments section of our last podcast video.
Janine, final thoughts now that people all over the internet are calling you stupid, and Janine is getting the full wrath of the internet, which I enjoy so much because
Why is that?
having done this for so long, like I've had people take shots at me for the last, I don't know, a long period of time. And since the channel on YouTube started, it's been 3-4 years or so of people just like, I hate what this guy is saying. Like, this guy, like, that's the thing. Like, when you just say, like, I would be reporting on a story, not reporting, but I'd be like, hey, this is what happened today with this. And they'd be like, this guy sucks, because they just hate what happened to the person that they love, So I've been dealing with that for years and years and years. And now I feel like Janine is starting to get a little bit of it. So how does that feel for you, Janine?
Well, it feels like I've made it.
Congratulations.
But here's my thing.
Yeah.
I've never once commented on a YouTube video. So these people must have a lot of time to actually go there and comment. You know what I mean?
You go through it, and because I stopped reading all of them, but I do read some of them. You go through it and you realize the ones who do comment there are, I would say 1 out of 400 maybe are like great comments. Like,
wait, we have more than
Depends.
400 comments?
oh,
It
yeah.
depends on the top. If you read some of the comments on some of the videos, it depends on the topic of the video. If it's a controversial topic, you're going to get a lot of bad comments and nasty things.
So
If it's an ordinary, like I watch artists, I watch artists drawing sometimes on YouTube. They have channels like that. And there's not a negative comment in there. Because
Right.
it's a
It's
very,
not controversial, yeah.
yeah, it's a very chill topic. It's nothing controversial. So once you bring up something like the pandemic, you're going to get a lot of people with negative stuff.
Yeah, because you're only finding people that were seeking out that video to watch it and
Exactly.
get all juiced up on it.
Right.
And one of the things that we criticize in that video are people that go and watch videos to get all juiced up on them, and then so they're like, "This guy sucks.
You mean like the videos we're making?
This girl stinks." You know.
Oh God.
But I had a
have
video.
to go look at them.
I had a video that did really, really well years ago, and it's still being viewed to this day. And just like 2 days ago, some guy wrote, like, actually, I think what this guy is saying is really, dead on target. You can see, like connected with everything in the video. And I was like, this only took 2.5 years. Whereas you look at everybody else's comments, like, this guy stinks, this guy sucks, and what does this guy know? And the other thing is in this particular video, I was really one of the first people to, I didn't break the story, but I was one of the first people to deliver it on YouTube. So it was getting to a lot of people before it was confirmed in their little world. And so like they would just go ape and just shit on everything. And it just takes a little while sometimes. So
That's what it is. Once you bring up something crazy, all the crazies come out.
we'll have to revisit the pandemic video 5 years from now, G, and see how people are
Ooh,
doing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, we have
It's
our
only gonna
chips
get
in our
worse.
bodies. Mind control.
All right. That'll do it for us. Rate and review on Apple Podcasts. Thank you guys so much for watching. This podcast was a potpourri and all over the place. And it's fun
It
to kind of
was.
do
Oof.
those every now and then. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Have a good one.